Howdy, church. Prophet Chad. It's been a few days, ain't it? I think. I lose track of days sometimes. How about y'all? Oh, hey, check this out. This one's going to have some bite. And as I say that, I know some are thinking, this one? Because I know there's quite a few audios that the Lord gives me to do that has a little bit of a bite to it. And you know, there's one thing that amazes me is on how some individuals have listened to them and they don't see the bite. They don't feel the bite. They see the opportunity. So think about that. But check this out. Brother in the Lord brought a message this weekend, Sunday morning, that was off the charts. Talk about being tapped in to what God is doing. You know, as ministers, as preachers, we have generalized messages. It's like I teach Sunday school, and there's a lot of lessons that are just generalized foundational messages that people need to hear to help build this temple we're living in. And then you have messages that are typically labeled as timely, meaning God has you say something at that point, at that time, that has to do with that point in that time specifically. Sunday, he brought a message that was very timely. And it had to do with growing up, about no longer being in a nursery, about no longer being babies, about getting planted and producing fruit. Yeah, producing fruit. But you got to get out of that pot. Right, y'all? Man, there was some good stuff. Here's the thing. I want you to think about this too. I have said before, through some prophecies that the Lord has given me, they're on here in an audio somewhere, and I've got them all wrote down if you want to hear them and talk about them. But there is a new generation coming, a new wave of individuals that aren't satisfied and aren't going to be satisfied with the status quo of the current church culture. I'm just telling you what God's telling me, church. You always have the choice to poo-poo it and disregard it. But I don't know if that'd be a good idea or not. So here's the thing. Here's how this plays out if you want some Bible. The children of Israel that were set free from Egypt, they didn't get to see the promised land. Not too awful long into their journey of 40 years, God told them, you know what? Y'all don't get to see the promised land. Y'all just aren't getting it. I love you. You're my kids. But you're a bunch of knuckleheads and you're just not getting it. So guess what? The next generation gets it. So the next generation is the one that got to go into the promised land. All the ones from Egypt that crossed the Red Sea, none of them got to see the promised land, except two, Joshua and Caleb. Yeah, I know my Bible. Hush that up. I'm having fun, y'all. It's serious, but I'm having fun. But none of them got to see the promised land. Now, during the time from when God told them that you don't get to see it, the next generation does. The younger generation coming up knew this. They're sitting back thinking, we're never going to get to go to the promised land because we got to wait for all these people to pass first. Come on, I'm just being real. Not that they were maybe praying for everybody to pass. They wasn't praying for no fire to come down from heaven to smoke them or anything like that. But they knew that they had to wait. They knew they had to wait until the last person from that first generation was gone, had passed away. And then when that day finally came, when that individual passed, there was sadness because they were all gone now. They didn't get to see what God had promised them. But at the same time, there was excitement inside of them, church. Are you hearing me? At the same time, they knew now things are going to be different. Because they knew now we get to go into the promised land. We're going to see something similar. Because this church culture that exists today, it's gotten just a wee bit wacko. But there's a new generation coming that's hungry for God's promises, not just God's provision. We got a generation coming up that wants more than just shoes that never wear out. They want something more than just sweet heavenly bread, miraculously provided for them every day. They want the milk. They want the honey. They want the giant grapes. And you know what, church? They don't care how many giants they got to go through to get it. They don't care how many towns, cities, villages they got to go through to obtain what God has for them. Because they've spent how many years waiting for this other generation in the past because they were too thick in the head to understand that they needed to move forward, that they needed to get over themselves, forget about Egypt, and move forward into the things of God. So this new generation had to wait on them. You know, there's a lot of scripture that talks about waiting. Those that wait, endure, be patient. Another prophecy the Lord's given me flat out says that just like with the children of Israel, there are going to be those that never see the promised land. There's no set number to that. So if right now you fall into the category of someone who's not going to see it, you can change that status and be part of this new wave that's going to see the promises of God. Phew. Are we still having fun? Those of you that are part of an older generation that think the way you're doing things is just fine, I'm here to tell you, your ways have gotten you stuck in the wilderness. They served for a time, like the message I've done before about the old typewriter. For its time, it served its purpose. It was a modern piece of technology. It was state of the art. It's what was needed at the time to get the job done. But that same piece of technology today is useless. It's nothing but a remnant, a sentimental memory of times past. Behold, old things have passed away. All things have become new. This is perpetual. This is ongoing. Your old ways of doing things, sorry, you got to make way for the new. That's not me. That's God. So what are you going to do? I sound like a wrestler now. What you going to do, brother? Anyway. Told you I was having fun today. So what are you going to do? You going to die in the promised land? Or are you going to move forward into God's promises? I said that wrong, didn't I? I said, are you going to die in the promised land? Or did I? What did I say? See, I don't even know. Are you going to die in the wilderness? Or are you going to move forward into the promised land? What's it going to be? You going to die in the wilderness? Or are you going to move forward into the promised land? There is no in between. And if you're still doing the same thing the same way that you've always done it, I'm here to tell you, that's wilderness thinking. Because old things pass away, all things become new. When they left Egypt, crossed the Red Sea into the wilderness, everything from the past was left behind. It was done away with, cut off. When they crossed the Jordan, it was the same thing, church. All the old things that was in the wilderness, the miraculous, the provision, all of that was gone. Now they had a new life. Now they had a new path. Now they had a new journey. Now they had a new adventure. Now they had new challenges. Ones that generation was ready to take on. This generation is going to be no different. I'm one of the ones that's crossing over with them. Are you going to be one? Or are you going to find yourself left behind? Love you all.